Hello everyone. If you've seen any of my other videos, today's is going to be a little bit different from that. I'm starting a new thread called Coffee with Kylee, and basically it's going to be me sharing my knowledge and my perspective on various topics that I think a little bit of light and love and acknowledgement need shared on. Today's video was inspired by October being Domestic Violence Awareness Month, and with that, I also believe that many people do not truly understand what domestic violence is, or what it looks like, or how someone could get into that kind of a relationship and stay. There's just so much to it, and hopefully after this video, you will understand just a little bit more about all of that. So what are some stats as to why this topic needs to be known about? What is going on in the world that this is even a thing? Well, 1 in 4 women will experience domestic violence in their lifetime. 1 in 7 men will experience a domestic violence relationship in their life. And 1.3 out of every 100,000 women worldwide will be killed annually due to domestic violence related relationships or at the hand of a partner. I think that is unbearably heavy, that so many people are being victimized and hurt by someone that they love. So I think it's important to know as well that in the 1950s, there was a study done on prisoners of war. They researched what methods of coercion and how they used them to have the prisoners break down and tell them what they wanted to know. And in the 1980s, when they started doing more research on domestic violence, that there were some pretty shocking results of similarities of the use of coercion and the mental health side of things, PTSD and everything that concluded after the relationship or through the relationship, and the effects on prisoners of war. That's astounding, that something we know about and just don't really talk about, and that prisoners of war, things that you would think are absolutely horrific events, are happening all around us, and the same effects are being seen on individuals. It's heart-wrenching. The textbook definition of domestic violence is a pattern of assaultive and coercive behavior. That's pretty broad, and there's a lot that goes into it. The reason behind all of this behavior is for the batterer to gain control, to be all-knowing and all-powerful, and have a victim that is completely dependent on them. And there's just so many tactics that are used. Most of us, when we think of domestic violence, probably think about physical abuse, especially in America, probably male to female victims. But I mean, as we said above, there are a lot of men that are being victimized as well. So with that, the different types of coercive behaviors used are verbal, emotional, financial. More of the assaultive are the physical and sexual. With the physical, there's hitting and kicking and choking and using weapons, But also some people refuse to get help for someone who's sick or injured. There is locking out of the house or the car or inducing exhaustion. It's crazy. There's the sexual misconduct. I don't know if that's right, but the sexual abuse is usually seen as constant sexual demands and unwanted sexual acts of any kind. If you're being victimized, you did not ask for it or deserve it. And if there are boundaries that are crossed, if you're uncomfortable, it is not okay. I don't care who you are. If you're not comfortable, the behavior on the other person is not okay. Now, with the coercive behavior, I'll get a little more into that. The verbal can constitute as yelling or name calling and degrading, constant blame. The emotional side of things is, offering false hope is huge in domestic violence with the cycle of abuse, the honeymoon phase into an explosive event usually, and then they beg for forgiveness and say they'll change and go on and honeymoon again, and it keeps going, and it's exhausting. There's also the isolating, abusing of children or pets, or using them as some sort of leverage, and gaslighting is huge. Being told that you're crazy or manipulating perception, like essentially you're so worn down, someone will look at a color of a ball and say, that's a blue ball. And you see it and you say, no, that's a red ball. What are you talking about? They're like, no, you're crazy. Maybe there's something wrong with your eyes. That ball is blue. And at that point, you're so isolated that you can't ask someone else's opinion. And so you start to believe that red is actually blue. To get into the financial, this is used commonly as well, is control of finances so that victims don't have the means to leave. They withhold financial information and finances. They destroy property. They sabotage vehicles, sabotage jobs, and even run up debt without a wink. And again, all of this is so the victim is dependent on the abuser. So why would someone stay? How could they stay in such a relationship? And before anybody thinks it or says it, there's no one that enjoys being mistreated. No one enjoys to be beaten and torn down constantly. That whole thing really grinds my gears if I hear someone say, well, they keep staying, they must just enjoy it. It actually takes the average person 7 attempts to leave an abusive relationship before they are successful. I also want to just say that we're in these relationships, or someone is in a relationship because they genuinely love their partner. They love them. They don't want to see harm to them. They want to help them. They want to better them. They think they're the only ones that can change them. They think that if only the physical abuse would stop, if only they would stop drinking, it would stop. And it's not even to bring up the fact that a lot of people are torn down for so long that they begin to believe the abuse. They begin to believe that they are unworthy of other partners. They believe that only if, as the victim, they could change, maybe they have a better memory or whatever, that the abuser would stop, that they wouldn't batter them anymore if only the victim was somehow better. And it's really hard to hold on to that hope and to see it that way. Again, a lot of people don't have the knowledge. They don't know what abuse looks like. They don't know what is acceptable behavior. A lot of people come from abusive homes and are taught as children that abusive natures is just, it's normal. It's a normal part of a relationship. Or both the batterer and the victim come from abusive homes, and it creates a sort of bond. There's also the fact of a lot of people don't believe they have the financial means. They don't think that they would be able to hack it in the world without their abuser. They, a lot of times don't know or don't have easy access to resources within the community or in the community itself because of social pressures and societal pressures. They are afraid of the embarrassment if they left. If they left their husband or spouse, what would everybody think? And there's also tactics used where the children are involved and they can't leave the partner because it would just devastate the children, or they're being threatened. The loved ones, pets, are being threatened and held away from the victim. There's so many reasons. And it's not to mention that some people have tried. They try to call the police, and the police just escalate things sometimes, not directly when they're involved, but of course a batterer is going to come home and be super mad about the situation, and it'll just escalate the behavior, or there's not enough done in the first event that they are convicted of anything, or they say that they're going to leave and it becomes so explosive. This is actually where a lot of the homicides come from, is leaving. It's the most dangerous part, I think. And with all of it, there's just so many reasons. There are so many reasons that people stay, and they don't deserve it. They don't like it. It's not okay. Now, as for resources and things of that nature, in Ohio alone, there's the Ohio Domestic Violence Network. There are, I believe, 68 to 72 shelters that cover every one of the 88 counties. Victims assistance. There are so many programs that you can reach out to and find help if you are in an abusive relationship. There's always, even if you don't have a support system from your family or friends because they've all been pushed away, it's okay, because there is help and there is hope. You don't deserve it. No one deserves it. And if at any rate you feel unsafe, if at any point you believe that you might be killed or seriously injured, please reach out for hope or for help. I'm getting emotional because I've known people who were killed in domestic violence relationships. I've witnessed multiple abusive relationships, personally and through as a third party. It's not just some taboo topic. We need the awareness. We need to be helping each other, and we need to end the cycles. I mean, we need to end the cycles. So, I guess with all of this, I want you all to know that if you've been in a relationship of this nature, that you're not alone and that it wasn't your fault. And if you are currently in an abusive relationship, again, you're not alone. You don't deserve this. And there is help out there if you're ready to take it. If you're not, that's okay. We're all on our own journeys. And I hope that even if you're not part of the cycles of abuse, that you learned something today, that you were more aware and are better at recognizing the signs and setting boundaries, and have that resilience and courage to do what you need to do to stay safe. So thank you all. Have a wonderful day and a better tomorrow.